on, Stacy. I was about 45 years old. I was sitting in a meeting at HP where I worked at the time. I was in a meeting, and it was not a dynamic meeting. I was bored. I had my laptop open, like most other people in the room, and suddenly this little email alert pops up, and it was something about retirement. And I know it's bad form to read emails when you're in a meeting, but I just couldn't not click on this thing, so I click on it, and it comes up, and HP's offering a program for older people to retire early, all this kind of stuff. And suddenly in my head, I'm daydreaming. I'm on the shores of Maui kite surfing. I'm in Australia snorkeling the Great Barrier Reef. I'm playing guitar for a bunch of friends, and they're just amazed at my prowess playing guitar. And a friend who's sitting next to me, he's about 10 years older than I am, he leans over to me and he says, "Jim, you're too young to be thinking about retiring." Now, if it's bad form reading emails in a meeting, it's really bad form reading someone else's emails in a meeting. But a lot of our identity is wrapped up in our work, right? It's what we do day to day. We spend most of our waking hours there. It's how we get money to live. It's how we meet a lot of our friends. And if it's a good job, it gives you a sense of purpose and fulfillment. And my job at HP gave me all of those things. It was great. I worked hard there, and I got promoted a few times. It was awesome. In fact, I used to love it when people would ask me what I did at HP, because I'd sort of go, "I'm an R&D section manager." Or, I'm an operations manager for a vice president." But I didn't really do the flexing with them, just to be clear on that. But it gave me a lot of fulfillment, and that was sort of my identity, so that was a big deal. My friend was right that when I was 45, I wasn't close to financially ready to retire. But when I got to be 55, it kind of started looking within reach, you know? And then 56, HP, I don't think I saw this one through an email popping up, but HP offered another retirement package, and they would give me a full year's salary if I wanted to retire. My choice. I grabbed it. All right, now when you read books about retirement, usually they cover one thing, and that one thing is money. Are you going to have enough money to live? How much money are you going to spend? What kinds of investments should you make to make enough money? And all of money, money, money. No doubt money's important, but at least as important is the emotional aspect of retirement. And my wise daughter gave me a book called How to Retire Wild, Happy, and Free. And in that book, it didn't talk about money at all. It talked about all the other stuff. For example, if a lot of your self-esteem was wrapped up in all of that stuff you accomplished day to day on your work schedule, and now suddenly that you don't have that kind of structured work schedule, what happens to your self-esteem? If a lot of your self-worth is driven by that paycheck that you're bringing home every week, good paycheck, you must have a lot of value, and now all of a sudden the paycheck disappears. What happens to your self-worth? Are you worthless? The first 6 months of retirement were awesome. Marcia and I took a cruise. We worked a lot in the yard, which actually, when you have time to do it, is pretty darn fun. I cleaned the garage. I read books. I actually took singing lessons. It was just great. But after 6 months, I started to think to myself, is this it? And I started to feel a little bit depressed, actually. And I was kind of snippy with Marcia sometimes, too. And I thought, what is going on? This just isn't me. And the problem was that I had lost a lot of the identity that I had when I was working at HP. And what I needed was a new identity. And while I was working at HP, my daughter called me one day and she said, "Could you work with my boyfriend? He's interviewing for this job." And so I worked with him. He got the job. It was like oh my gosh. Then I worked with my niece, and she got her job. And pretty soon people were calling me as the word got out that, oh, talk to Jim. He knows about resumes, and he knows about this, and he knows about that. So I worked with the people. I got a bunch of presentations together to take to job networking groups and to do with the library on resumes, on interview skills, all of those kinds of things. Things were well received. Eventually, over time, a lot of my clientele came from referrals. Other people that were successful, they'd send more people to me. It was awesome. And when I do it, I really feel like I'm helping people change their lives. And it's just great. My most recent one, my youngest daughter, she has a good friend, and I watched this girl grow up. She's just a wonderful kid. And now she's looking for a job after she graduated. We worked on her resume, we worked on her interview skills, and boom, she landed the job. She was in Fort Collins over the weekend. She gave me a big hug, and that just was as good as it gets. So my advice for each of you is, for some of you, it's a long way off, maybe, the younger crew. For some of you, maybe not so long. But as you think about retirement, think about, instead of retiring from something, think about retiring to something. And second note is, life transitions can be difficult, but they can also be fabulous. Thanks.